Hello, my name is Whitney Swink, and I am the State Regulatory Entomologist for the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. In this presentation, I will be covering insects of regulatory concern to the nursery industry in North Carolina. I hope to provide useful resources and a general overview of 6 main pests of concern: the cotton boll weevil, emerald ash borer, European gypsy moth, imported fire ant, spotted lanternfly, and the walnut twig beetle. I will not be covering control methods for these pests. Please contact your local cooperative extension agent for guidance on pest control. The first resource I want to cover is the National Plant Board website. The National Plant Board is a nonprofit organization of the Plant Pest Regulatory Agency of each state, including Puerto Rico and Guam. Every state regulates the shipment of nursery and greenhouse stock in an effort to minimize the spread of harmful insects, diseases, and other pests. On this website, you can find a summary of each state's laws and regulations pertaining to plant protection. If the information you're seeking is not found on one of the state summaries, you can reach out directly to that state's Department of Agriculture for further guidance. We have a tool on our Plant Industry Division website, www.ncagr.gov/plantindustry, that allows you to quickly and easily look up a location in North Carolina to determine which plant pest quarantines are in effect for that area. To access the tool, simply click the link in the orange highlighted box you see on the slide, labeled Here. Prior to using the tool, you will need to read the instructions and then click the little box labeled I understand and then select OK. You can use this mapping tool in a few different ways. You can zoom in and out and move around the map, then click directly on the map to bring up a blue menu. Clicking on the arrow, highlighted with a red circle, will bring up a list of the quarantines that you can scroll through to see which are in effect for that area. Simply click on the X to return to the map. Alternatively, you can type in a county name, town, city, zip code, or specific address. A list of pests will appear after you hit Enter. For the purposes of this example, I typed in Durham and will select Imported Fire Ant. As you can see, the tool tells you that the location you selected is in a county that is under quarantine for imported fire ant. From here, you can click on the pest name, which will take you to the relevant webpage on our website to learn more information. If you want to check a different quarantine, click the back arrow next to the pest name. We'll keep the same location, but choose gypsy moth this time. As you can see, the same location is not under quarantine for gypsy moth. You can use the link at the bottom of this slide to visit this page directly. There is also a full screen option available. The link is directly below the mapping tool on our webpage. Let's now move on to the insect pests of regulatory concern. The first pest of note is the cotton boll weevil, Anthinomus grandis. While not so much a nursery or greenhouse pest, I chose to include it because we do regulate ornamental cotton in North Carolina. The boll weevil is thought to be native to South America and migrated into the United States from Mexico sometime in the late 19th century. The weevil spread rapidly through the southeastern United States, wreaking havoc on the cotton industry. To date, the industry has suffered more than $23 billion in economic losses. In the late 1970s, the USDA Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service, APHIS, launched the National Boll Weevil Eradication Program along the Virginia-North Carolina border with the goal of eradicating the boll weevil in incremental stages in the United States. Eradication of the boll weevil has traditionally consisted of a combination of chemical and cultural control methods, including the use of pheromone traps, insecticides, and post-harvest stalk destruction. In 1987, the cotton boll weevil was officially eradicated from North Carolina. To date, the boll weevil has been eradicated from all cotton-producing states except for a part of Texas where eradication efforts continue. The North Carolina Boll Weevil Eradication Foundation traps all planted cotton acreage annually to ensure our state is still free of the pest. NC Department of Agriculture traps all cotton gin operations and research facilities working with cotton. We also trap residences and other locations where ornamental cotton is grown. If you or someone you know grows ornamental cotton, please contact us so that we monitor the plants through their growing season. Anyone growing cotton in small areas or ornamental cotton on their property must comply with the NC laws and regulations pertaining to the boll weevil. One of our plant pest specialists will issue a compliance agreement and will set one or more traps. These traps are generally set around the 4th of July and remain in place through November with lures changed monthly. The next pest of regulatory concern I'll cover is the emerald ash borer, Agrilus planopinis. This pest is native to northeastern Asia and was first detected in the United States in 2002 near Detroit, Michigan. In 2013, EAB was found in Granville County, the first detection for North Carolina. The beetle has been detected in over half the counties in North Carolina and has unfortunately spread into 35 states in the U.S. and a few Canadian provinces, killing hundreds of millions of ash trees in the process. Susceptible tree species include green ash, white ash, Carolina ash, pumpkin ash, and white fringed tree. Although quite destructive, emerald ash borer is a striking insect. EAB is bright, metallic green with a purplish red color under the elytra, the hardened forewings of the insect. It is typically about half an inch long and 1/8 of an inch wide. In North Carolina, adults are typically active from April through June, and the larvae can be found under the bark throughout the year. One of the reasons EAB has been able to establish widely is because the beetle can infest trees long before humans can detect them. Often by the time an infestation has been noticed, it is too late to save the tree without spending a great deal of time and money. The most common signs and symptoms of EAB infestation are serpentine galleries under the bark caused by larval feeding, D-shaped exit holes in the bark from adult emergence, epicormic shoots, and crown dieback. Another common sign is increased woodpecker activity, which eventually causes the bark to split. Emerald ash borer has spread rapidly due to the movement of wood and wood-related products. In order to attempt to contain the spread of this pest, the entire state of North Carolina is under quarantine for emerald ash borer. While no regulated articles may leave the quarantine unless accompanied by an NCDA and CS or USDA certificate, there are no legal restrictions for the movement of regulated articles within the quarantine area. This includes movement through adjacent areas like Virginia and Tennessee, which are also under quarantine for EAB. The following are 3 categories of regulated articles for emerald ash borer: all living life stages of the beetle, ash trees including ash limbs and branches, ash stumps and roots, ash logs, ash lumber, ash chips, and ash bark chips, and firewood of any hardwood species. With regards to EAB, there are no legal restrictions on the intrastate movement of non-ash hardwood products such as nursery stock, logs, branches, green lumber, or chips in North Carolina. For a full FAQ on the EAB regulations, please visit the link at the bottom of this slide. The next pest of note is the European gypsy moth, Lymantria dispar. Originating from the temperate forest of Western Europe, the gypsy moth was initially introduced into the United States in 1869 by an amateur entomologist named Etienne Leopold Trouvelot. He was attempting to interbreed the gypsy moth with native caterpillars in order to establish a silkworm industry in North America. Unfortunately, the backyard enclosures that held the gypsy moth caterpillars overturned during a storm, releasing the caterpillars into the wild. Ever since, gypsy moth has spread to the north, south, and west. Gypsy moth is a tree defoliator and feeds on the leaves of over 300 species of trees. North Carolina is one of 11 state cooperators in the Slow the Spread program, which is an integrated pest management program developed to reduce the spread of European gypsy moth. The destructive life stage, the caterpillar, is easily identifiable by the 6 pairs of red spots and 5 pairs of blue spots along their backs. They have urticating hairs, and you need to be careful if handling. When they first hatch, they are quite tiny, but as they eat, they reach 1.5 to 2.5 inches in length. They are found from late March to late May in North Carolina. Adult females are white, flightless, and have filament-like antennae. Males have brownish-gray wings with a 1.5-inch wingspan and can fly. They have feathery antennae and a scallop pattern along their wings, and usually have 2 dark, inverted V shapes that point to a dot. This is highlighted inside the red circle on the slide. The egg masses are the life stage of greatest concern to the nursery industry, not due to plant damage, but due to the ability to regulate material free from the pest. The egg masses are roughly the size of a quarter and orangish tan and hairy. Females tend to lay their eggs in sheltered places, such as on the underside of a tree limb or in tree bark furrows, although they will lay their eggs on any surface they can reach. Do recall the females cannot fly. Many states will not accept any nursery stock if the plants were grown in an area where gypsy moth has been detected. We trap statewide for European gypsy moth and conduct mating disruption and BTK treatments in hotspots annually to prevent the pest from establishing in North Carolina, but gypsy moths still make it into North Carolina every year despite this. Human-assisted movement is the greatest contributor to the spread of European gypsy moth in the United States. High-risk industries, such as timber, moving companies, and nurseries, are regulated to prevent human-caused movement of gypsy moth. Regulated articles include the gypsy moth in any stage of development, trees with roots, and shrubs with roots and persistent woody stems, except if greenhouse grown throughout the year. Logs and pulpwood, except if moved to a mill operating under a compliance agreement. Firewood, unless moved as an outdoor household article. Mobile homes and associated equipment. Recreational vehicles and associated equipment. Cut Christmas trees or trees without roots and any other articles that may pose a threat to the spread of gypsy moth. In other words, if eggs can be laid on it, then it's considered a regulated article for the purposes of gypsy moth. In North Carolina, all of Currituck and a small portion of Dare County are under quarantine for this pest. The next insect, the imported fire ant, is a pest most are familiar with as it is prevalent throughout much of North Carolina and is an aggressive, mean insect known to both sting and bite if disturbed. IFA was first introduced in the United States in Mobile, Alabama, sometime between 1933 and 1945. The pest likely transferred from South America on a ship via the cargo or ballast. To date, IFA has spread to 14 states, including North Carolina. It was first detected in our state in 1957 in Brunswick County and has officially been confirmed in 77 out of our 100 counties. Imported fire ants are relatively small, but workers vary widely in size from 1/16 of an inch to 1/4 inch long. In contrast, many other ant species are uniform in size. IFA have 10 segmented antennae and, as mentioned previously, are very aggressive and can both bite and sting. They are typically reddish with a dark shiny brown rear abdomen and have a petiole, the area between the thorax and abdomen, with 2 nodes, the area the red arrow is pointing to in the photo. Imported fire ants spread rapidly due to a number of factors, including their fast rate of reproduction, competitive superiority to other ant species, excellent methods of dispersal, for example, the floating mats designed to protect the queen during flooding as seen in the below image, ecological adaptation to disturbed areas, opportunistic feeding behavior, and of course, human-assisted movement. IFA are notorious hitchhikers and are readily transported long distances when articles such as soil, nursery stock, and other items are shipped outside of the infested area. Regulated articles for fire ant require a certificate or permit before they can be shipped outside of the IFA quarantine area. The following articles are regulated, and those in red text are associated with nursery and sod growers: IFA queens and reproducing colonies of imported fire ant, soil, separately or with other things, except soil samples shipped to approved laboratories. Potting soil is exempt if commercially prepared, packaged, and shipped in original container. Plants with roots and soil attached, except house plants maintained indoors and not for sale. Grass sod, baled hay and straw that has been stored in contact with soil. Used soil moving equipment. Any other products, articles, or means of conveyance of any character whatsoever not covered by the above, when it is determined by an inspector that they present a hazard of spread of the imported fire ant, and the person in possession thereof has been so notified. NCDA and CS personnel can issue certificates authorizing movement of regulated articles when certain approved procedures have been utilized to ensure the regulated articles are free from IFA. Please consult the Imported Fire Ant Quarantine Treatments for Nursery Stock, Grass Sod, and Related Materials manual located on the Plant Entry Division website. Link is provided at the bottom of this slide. Or contact your local plant pest specialist for additional guidance on requirements for shipping your material to a non-quarantined area if you are located within the North Carolina Fire Ant Quarantine. Currently, 75 of 100 counties in North Carolina are partially or fully under quarantine for imported fire ant. January 1st, 2021, the quarantine will expand to include Jackson and McDowell counties, as well as change from a partial to a full quarantine for Alamance, Burke, and Guilford counties. This expansion is necessary due to a significant number of imported fire ant mounds having been located in these counties during our extensive multi-year survey. Hopefully you've heard of this pest before, even though this one is not actually in North Carolina yet. The spotted lanternfly, Lycorma delicatula, is an invasive plant hopper in the Fulgoridae family of insects and is a major nuisance pest threatening agricultural crops such as grapes, hops, and hardwoods, as well as reducing the quality of life for people living in heavily infested areas. Native to parts of Asia, the spotted lanternfly was first detected in the United States in 2014 in Pennsylvania and has since spread into Delaware, Maryland, New Jersey, Virginia, and West Virginia. There are over 70 species of woody plants that have been identified as hosts of spotted lanternfly. Among these species are key agricultural and ornamental commodities such as apples, grapes, maples, stone fruits, and walnut. The preferred host is tree of heaven, Ailanthus altissima, also an invasive species, and unfortunately one that is widespread throughout North Carolina. One of the main reasons spotted lanternfly is a nuisance pest is its ability to produce copious amounts of honeydew. This buildup of honeydew causes sooty mold to grow and fungal mats to form at the base of infested trees and homes. Over time, the honeydew ferments, causing areas with infestations to have a gross smell. They climb homes and businesses, causing sooty mold to grow on buildings as well as plants. The honeydew also attracts stinging insects like wasps and ants. The photo on the far right is the cover on a truck bed from someone in Pennsylvania who made the mistake of parking too close to a tree of heaven infested with spotted lanternfly. The good news is that so far in the United States, the only plants spotted lanternfly has killed are tree of heaven and cultivated grapes. However, millions of dollars are being spent to suppress spotted lanternfly populations and protect our viticulture, tree fruit, plant nursery, and timber industries. Spotted lanternfly overwinters in the egg stage. The eggs hatch in the spring. In North Carolina, hatch could occur as early as March, but more likely in April. And there are 4 instar or nymph stages. In late June to early July, adults emerge, and late summer to early fall, adults begin to lay their eggs. Females lay at least 2 egg masses during their lifetime, and each egg mass contains roughly 35 eggs. The masses are small, roughly the size of a quarter, and have a gray, mud-like appearance. Like the gypsy moth, spotted lanternfly will lay their eggs on just about any smooth surface, and as you can see in this photo, their egg masses are essentially the same size as gypsy moth, small and hard to see. The first 3 nymphal stages are fairly nondescript and are difficult to spot unless you're actively looking for them. They are black with white spots, and the first instar is tiny, about the size of a tick, with the third instar measuring about 1/4 of an inch. The fourth instar is the first life stage that is truly noticeable as it is larger, about 1/2 an inch in size, and bright red. The adults are the most obvious life stage. They are larger, measuring about 1 inch from nose to wingtip. You will rarely see them with their wings spread as they are poor flyers, preferring to crawl or jump from one location to another. Adults at rest have a black head and grayish wings with black spots. The tips of the forewings are a combination of black rectangular blocks with gray outlines. When startled or flying, they will display their hind wings, which are red with black spots at the base and black at the tip with a white stripe dividing them. Spotted lanternfly was likely introduced from Asia in 2012 on stone tile products in Pennsylvania. However, this pest wasn't detected until 2014. The first detection occurred in Berks County, Pennsylvania, marked on the map with an orange star, and has spread into surrounding counties and states via natural spread and human-assisted movement. So far, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, New Jersey, and Virginia have areas under quarantine for this pest, marked with a red outline on the map. Areas in blue on the map have known reproducing populations of spotted lanternfly. The purple dots indicate a life stage was found, but upon investigation determined to be a one-off incident and not an established population. You'll notice we have one of these interceptions in North Carolina in Buncombe County. We trace that interception to a shipment from Pennsylvania. To date, 12 states have intercepted spotted lanternflies so far. I've already mentioned the similarities to gypsy moth in terms of egg laying. Spotted lanternfly are notorious hitchhikers and will lay their eggs on most surfaces. Rather than reading this list, the point I want to make here is that everything is regulated with regards to spotted lanternfly. Please be on the lookout for this pest, and if you think you have spotted it, please take a photo and report it immediately to badbug@ncagr.gov. The last pest I'll be covering today is the walnut twig beetle, Pityopterus juglandus. This is a bark beetle that is native to southwestern United States and northern Mexico. Bark beetles are a common nursery and landscape problem, but this beetle is a greater concern because it is a vector of a fungal pathogen called Geosmithia morbida, which causes thousand cankers disease. The disease threatens eastern black walnut, Juglans nigra, a high-value, ecologically critical, and culturally treasured tree species in North Carolina. TCD can kill trees in as few as 3 years once symptoms appear. TCD was first detected in the eastern United States in 2010 in Knoxville, Tennessee, and in North Carolina in 2012. Like other bark beetles, walnut twig beetle is tiny, measuring about 1/16 of an inch. It is reddish-brown in color and has 4 to 6 concentric rings on the upper surface of the pronotum, which is the shield-like cover behind and over the head. You will need a hand lens or microscope to see this feature. Adult males bore into the bark of trees, creating an entry for the females to follow. They produce an aggregate pheromone, attracting more males and females, resulting in a mass attack on the tree. Feeding from the adults and larvae damages the tree's ability to cycle nutrients. Additionally, the spores of Geosmithia morbida on their wings transfer to the phloem, causing necrotic lesions to develop. The damage from the beetle and the pathogen can eventually kill the tree. Walnut trees suffering from thousand cankers disease will typically exhibit yellowing and wilting of leaves and crown dieback. Additionally, numerous tiny cankers may be present on tree branches and boles, hence the name thousand cankers disease. We, along with the NC Forest Service, have been trapping the state for the beetle since 2013. Thankfully, the beetle and the pathogen have only ever been detected in one county in North Carolina, Haywood County, which is currently under quarantine, and neither have been detected in our state since 2013. The beetle spreads naturally and via human-assisted movement like in firewood. The following articles are regulated under the Haywood County TCD quarantine to limit the spread of this pest: walnut plants and plant parts, including firewood, lumber, logs, stumps, roots, branches, and composted and uncomposted chips. For assistance with any of the pests covered in this presentation or other regulatory issues, please contact your local NCDA and CS plant pest specialist. You can find your specialist and their contact information on our website at the address below. Alternatively, if you need insect or disease diagnostic assistance, you can contact the North Carolina State University Plant Disease and Insect Clinic. Their contact information is provided on the slide. If you have any questions about this content or need clarification, please contact me by phone or email. Details are at the bottom of the slide. Thank you and have a nice day.